May we proceed?
You may.
Could you introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Sure thing. Hi there. My name's Corey Hine.
Where are you from, Mr. Hyde?
Well, I'm from a small town called Longville, Minnesota. You might have heard of it. We're known for our turtle races every Wednesday from June to September.
Well, how'd you end up here in Midlands?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I loved Longville, but you get real tired of those Minnesota winters after a while. So after moving around a little bit, I decided to settle down in Midlands after I heard about a great new job opportunity.
And what job was that, sir?
Well, I'm the executive assistant to Miss Ava Bancroft at the Black Bear Casino.
Well, what do you do specifically for Miss Bancroft?
Oh, what don't I do? I plan her schedule, attend meetings with her, that kind of stuff.
Mr. Hyde, how are you involved in today's case?
Well, I was recruited by an undercover officer named Mickey Keenan to help investigate my boss, Miss Bancroft. I'm here to talk about what happened.
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about your first interactions with Miss Keenan. Do you remember when that was?
Yeah, sure. It was on March 1st, 2015. It was a phone call. I remember it because I was making sure all the bills were paid on time.
What did you know about Mickey Keenan at that time?
Well, all I knew was that she was an auditor for the Midlands Gambling Commission.
Sir, what'd you do immediately after that phone call?
Well, I scheduled a meeting with Miss Keenan for the next day to talk about the proposal.
What proposal are you talking about?
Well, Miss Bancroft was getting ready to submit a proposal for a second casino to the Midlands Gambling Commission.
Well, how did that face-to-face person with Mickey Keenan go?
I mean, at first it was pretty normal, talking about the proposal. All of a sudden, she puts a police badge on the table, and boy, I tell you, that's when I knew she wasn't an auditor.
What happened next?
Well, she keeps talking to me, keeps asking me questions, and she asks me to help in her investigation.
Mr. Hyde, did you agree to help Officer Keenan with her investigation?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
She told me that she'd bring gambling violations against me if I didn't cooperate.
Well, sir, how'd you help Officer Keenan with her plan?
Well, she told me she wanted my help in catching Miss Bancroft bribed Mr. Covington, the chair of the Gambling Commission. She asked me to set up some meetings between Miss Bancroft and Mr. Covington, and Officer Keenan wanted to be there too.
Now, Mr. Hyde, you said it was your job to set up meetings. When was the next time you met with Officer Keenan?
That was on March 31st. It was a meeting with myself, Miss Bancroft, and Mr. Covington.
What happened at that March 31st meeting?
Well, what happened was she first starts talking about the proposal, you know. Officer Keenan's talking to Miss Covington about the proposal. Everything's normal. And then all of a sudden, Officer Keenan starts making things more personal. You know, talking about Miss Bancroft instead of the proposal.
What happened next?
Well, that's what happened. Officer Keenan stares at me. And so I asked Miss Bancroft if she was willing to do anything to sweeten the pot.
Why'd you ask that, sir?
I was just trying to follow Officer Keenan's instructions. I was just trying to cooperate, but Officer Keenan ended up asking most of the questions anyway.
Well, what kinds of questions was Officer Keenan asking at that meeting?
She asked Miss Bancroft what Miss Bancroft was willing to do to make this all happen.
Mr. Hyde, how did Miss Bancroft respond to that?
Well, she kind of turned her head, kind of squinted her eyebrows a little bit. She looked real confused. She kept asking Officer Keenan how she could improve her proposal for the second casino license.
How did Officer Keenan react?
Officer Keenan told Miss Bancroft, "You need to pitch more than ideas."
Sir,
Objection, Your Honor, to hearsay. To the Mickey Keenan statements.
I'm sorry, to Officer Keenan's statement.
Yes.
Your response, counsel?
Your Honor, this is a statement by a party opponent under Rule 801D2.
So your view is that Officer Keenan is a party opponent?
Yes, Your Honor. And the prosecution has, in the beginning of today's trial, stipulated that their party representative is Mickey Keenan.
Your Honor, Mickey Keenan is our party representative, but it is not the defense's party opponent. And therefore, these are out-of-court statements used for the truth of the matter and are not allowed in today's court.
Overruled.
Mr. Hyde, could you repeat how Ms. Bancroft, or excuse me, how Officer Keenan reacted to what Ms. Bancroft said?
You mean what Officer Keenan said?
Yes, sir.
Sure thing. Yeah, she said, you need to pitch more than ideas.
And how did Ms. Bancroft react to that?
She sat back in her chair, and she kind of was folding her hands over, and she said, I've never done anything like that.
Objection, Your Honor, to hearsay once again.
Again, as to whose statement?
Mickey Keenan.
Overruled.
Mr. Hyde, how did that meeting end?
Miss Bancroft agreed to make a pitch to Mr. Covington.
Thank you, sir. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Cross-examination, Your Honor.
Just a moment, please.
Yes, sir.
You may proceed, Mr. Rogers.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hyde.
Good afternoon, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. The Vikings are 7-2, playing tag. The Packers probably right about now.
You are Avery Bancroft's executive assistant,
That's right.
and you are testifying on behalf of the defense.
I am, that's right.
You currently are still employed by Ms. Bancroft.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
Mr. Hyde, part of your job as Avery Bancroft's, or Ava Bancroft's executive assistant is to help her with things like a proposal, right?
You mean for the casino?
Yes,
Sure thing.
and also do things like set up meetings for Ms. Ava Bancroft.
That's right.
Specifically, you met with Mickey Keenan about the proposal, right?
I met with Officer Keenan a few times, sure.
Yes, and that was on April 2nd, right?
April 2nd.
Or March 2nd. that's
No,
fine.
yeah, it was March 2nd. We had a phone call on the 1st, and then we met face-to-face on March 2nd.
And in this meeting is when you learned that Officer Keenan was in fact an undercover agent and not an auditor, right?
That's right.
And you decided that it was a good idea to go along with her investigation.
Look, she told me that she'd bring gambling violations against me if I didn't cooperate. I didn't feel like I had a choice.
Well, Mr. Hyde, you thought it was a good idea to cooperate with the police.
Well, of course, I didn't want to be prosecuted for something I didn't do.
Now, you also scheduled a meeting for April 13th, right?
That's true.
And in this meeting, you stepped out to use the restroom.
I did. That's right.
Right. And while you were in the restroom, you don't know what Mickey Keenan said.
Oh, no, I don't.
You don't know what Mickey Keenan did.
I don't.
And you don't know what Avery Bancroft said.
I don't know what she
And
said.
you don't know what Avery Bancroft did.
No, I don't.
In this meeting, though, Chase Covington said, I'm going to need a good reason to vote for your proposal.
That's right. Mr. Covington did say that.
And Avery Bancroft responded, how about 100,000 reasons?
She did say that. That's true.
Now, Mr. Hyde, correct me if I'm wrong, Mickey Keenan didn't tell Ava Bancroft to say that.
No, she didn't.
Avery Bancroft, to your knowledge, didn't force her to say that.
No, you're right.
Now, on April 16th, there was supposed to be another meeting.
That's true, yeah.
And in this meeting was Ava Bancroft, yourself, and Mickey Keenan.
That's right.
Chase Covington was supposed to be there,
That's true.
but he never showed up.
You're right.
And Mickey Keenan, in this meeting, well, he didn't tell Avery Bancroft to, she didn't tell Avery Bancroft to bribe Chase Covington, right?
No.
And In fact, throughout all your meetings, you never heard Mickey Keenan use the word bribe, right?
No, you're right.
And on April 17th, Avery Bancroft was at the speech where they accepted the proposal by the vicar, right?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
On April 17th, there was a ceremony accepting Avery Bancroft as the new casino holder for the state of Minnesota, right?
That is right, yeah.
Because Chase Covington voted for Avery Bancroft.
Yeah, Chase Covington and one of the other members of the gambling commission, you're right.
And to your knowledge, Mickey Keenan never told Avery Bancroft to give Chase Covington money.
Not specifically like that.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. I have no further questions. Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Redirect?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hyde, on cross-examination, we talked about that first time you met with Mickey Keenan.
Sure.
Why'd you agree to help her in her investigation?
Like I said, we were talking about the proposal. She puts the police badge on the table, tells me she wants me to help her catch Miss Bancroft bribing Mr. Covington, and told me that she'd bring gambling violations against me if I didn't help. I had no choice.
All right, no further questions.
Thank you, counsel.
Brief recross. Mr. Hyde, in your own words, you did think it was a good idea to cooperate with the police.
I had no choice, sir.
That's not the question, Mr. Hyde.
I'm sure I don't want to go to jail.
You did think it was a good idea to cooperate with the police.
Right?
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, counsel. I take this witness may be excused.
Yes, sir.